Good afternoon. I'm Jacob Reimer. Just 2 more days until the Ohio State football team returns to action and begins their chase to repeat as national champions in the Cotton Bowl when they take on Miami. Kickoff on New Year's Eve is at 7:30. There will be all-day coverage here on The Fan with Paul and Jim taking over at 6 o'clock. NHL, the Columbus Blue Jackets, who are winners of 2 straight, are in the second leg of back-to-back tonight on the road in Ottawa, visiting the Senators. Puck drop tonight is at 7 o'clock. NBA tonight, the Cavs wrap up their 3-game road trip in San Antonio, taking on the Spurs, looking to avoid dropping all 3 games on this trip. Tip-off is at 8 o'clock. Week 17 in the NFL finishes tonight with the Los Angeles Rams visiting the Atlanta Falcons. They get kicked off at 8:15. And the Ohio State men's basketball team returns from Christmas break on Friday. Jumping back into Big Ten play, they will be at Rutgers. Head coach Jake Diebler hosts his weekly radio show. Up next on The Fan, Ohio's sports destination.
From Learfield, this is the Jake Diebler Show, presented by Roosters, a fun casual joint, and brought to you statewide by Encova Insurance and by the American Dairy Association Mideast on the Ohio State Sports Network, presented by the Ohio State Wexner Medical Center, the team physicians for Ohio State Athletics. Now, along with Coach Jake Diebler and former Ohio State captain Ron Stokes, here's the voice of the Buckeyes, Paul Keels.
Good afternoon. Our weekly conversation with Ohio State head
If you are a fighter, Modelo is your reward. So listen close. You stick to your coast at all costs. You never let traffic stop your drive. You aren't just a dreamer, you're a doer. You power through all of life's hills and valleys without hesitation. You're not looking to be discovered. You've already found your place. You are a fighter, and Modelo is your reward. You've earned every last drop of this rich golden lager, so raise it up high. Modelo, the mark of a fighter. Drink responsibly. Beer imported by Crown Imports, Chicago, Illinois.
Hey, Buckeye fans, it's Paul Keels for Window Nation. Columbus, did you know you can get 2 free tickets to an upcoming Ohio State football game if you replace all the windows in your home with Window Nation? This month, they're offering 50% off all window styles, plus no payments for 2 whole years. That's right, no down payment, no monthly payments, and no interest until 2027. Get big savings, plus 1-day installation with Window Nation, a proud partner of Ohio State Athletics. Call 866-90-NATION or visit windownation.com today.
Hey, Ohio State fans. Next time that snack craving hits, Burger King has you covered with the O-Fry-O bundle. You get a medium fry, 8-piece chicken fries, 8-piece mozzarella fries, and an 8-piece chicken nuggets, all for just $10. It's perfect snack fuel for one, wherever and whenever you're cheering on the scarlet and gray. At BK, have it your way. You rule. Limited time only at participating Ohio area restaurants. BK is a proud sponsor of Ohio State Athletics. Tax extra.
Modern Office Methods, your authorized RICO dealer, can help your business optimize your print production with a competitive advantage. Our digital printing options will expand the type of paper and substrates from what your business can print on today. Add variable data capability, which allows for personalization of catalogs and mailers, and the ability for short-run label printing, which allows your business to print high volumes of custom labels quickly and on demand. Want to learn more? Start with a print assessment at momnet.com. Why risk it? You can count on Mom.
At Giant Eagle, we believe in better, and that includes finding more ways to help you save. Because finding a good deal is everyone's deal. Because every dollar and every moment counts. Because value you can count on is priceless. On sale this season at Giant Eagle, you'll find lower prices through the end of the year on favorites like Honeycrisp apples, Oreo cookies, eggs, and more. Giant Eagle, because it matters. Limited time only through 12/31/25. Prices and participation may vary.
Life is more fun with a pal. So is pizza. So check out Donato's $5 Pizza Pals menu. Order any large pizza and add on your choice of a sub, salad, wings, a 10-inch pizza, and more for just $5 each. Order your favorite $5 Pizza Pals from Donatos.com today. More toppings, more flavor, more fun. Donatos. Gotta love more.
Fan. The Fan. Ohio sports destination. You're listening to the Jake Diebler Show, presented by Roosters on the Ohio State Sports Network. Presented by the Ohio State Wexner Medical Center, the team physicians for Ohio State athletics.
We welcome you back, and we say good afternoon for our weekly conversation with Ohio State head coach Jake Diebler. We apologize for our technical issues. We're going to blame the 40-mile-an-hour winds, but the Buckeyes will get back in action coming up on Friday when they head to Rutgers and resume their Big Ten journey. 89-63 the last time out against Grambling State. So a little bit of a reset. Neil Sika in for Paul Keels. We've got Ron Stokes. Jake, hope you had a great Christmas and a happy upcoming New Year. I brought up the question while we had dropped decompressing. That really wasn't the case over a 10-day layoff for you heading in to the game on Friday. But how did you approach this time off? And also, I'm sure it was nice for the players to have a little bit of a break.
Yeah, it was great for our guys to get a break and spend some time with family. For us in the Diebler house, wasn't a lot of decompressing when you got 4 kids under 7 and Christmas being celebrated and family members popping in and out. But I will say this, it was nice to have some time to kind of reflect on the first part of the season, watch some film, look at some things offensively and defensively, and just get almost a clear mind heading into Big Ten play and a road game, and first of many road games starting out for us.
Coach, in my 29 years of doing these shows with the various Ohio State coaches, each one had their own way of decompressing. Some would run and do certain things on the road trips. What are some of the things that you do as a head coach to make sure you get your mind right?
Well, I really try to start my day off well. And for me, that's, getting up, getting in the Word, and, listening to some worship music, maybe a podcast or two that applies to leadership, and could be snippets of a podcast that someone sent me so stuff like that, Ron. And then I need some coffee. I got a few coffee spots I like to stop in and rotate. And then, during the day before practice, I like to get in the sauna, either get in the sauna a little bit or go play some pickup with our managers while our guys are lifting, just to kind of that. Playing actually helps me clear my head a little bit. So those things help me get ready to, one, have a great day, but then two, more importantly, have a great practice.
If you have a question for Coach Diebler, you can submit it to our Union Home Mortgage inbox at ohiostatebuckeyes.com and click on Coach's Show Inbox Union Home Mortgage. Learn about their 1% down payment program at uhm.com, NMLS number 2229. And I guess a good place to start with our first question. We'll get into the Grambling State game in a moment, but in a perfect world, and I know maybe there's some logistics involved, Jake, Tony in Akron asked, would you have preferred to have an additional game scheduled today or tomorrow to avoid a long layoff prior to Friday night's game at Rutgers?
Yeah, so, scheduling's tricky, and I've talked about some of the ins and outs of that in the past. I think one of the things that we do is we work with the Big Ten, right, as we're building out our non-conference schedule in preparation for what's ahead. And you have to settle some of these non-conference games before you fully know what your conference schedule looks like. Now, this year's tricky because we have the non-conference game in February, so that in itself caused an adjustment. And then for us, we kind of had to decide, anticipating some road games early. We felt like because I think we got 4 games in a really tight stretch here coming up. So having that break before, we felt like was more important than maybe trying to squeeze one more game in before starting Big Ten play. On the flip side, that's why we kind of squeezed it in before the holiday season. So it varies year to year, but we are working constantly in the off season with the Big Ten to try to get a feel for dates we will have games or blocks we need to keep available for Big Ten play and build around that.
Coach, last year a point was made about weekend games in Columbus at home, and looking at this year's schedule, the one on the 17th at home against UCLA, and then there's one in February against Michigan, the school up north, and there's 2 in March. A little bit of an improvement.
We doubled it, Ron. Went from 2 to 4. So that was important. I just think it's important for our fans, and to get high-level games on the weekends in Columbus and Big Ten play. I thought it wasn't. I didn't think it was fair to them. More fair to us. last year. Big Ten hurt us and made an adjustment, and we got a couple more this year.
4 games in 9 days. You speak of that congested stretch that starts on Friday at Rutgers, and then home to Nebraska, at Oregon, and at Washington on the Pacific Coast trip. But let's dissect a little bit and revisit the Grambling State game. 89-63, 50 points in the second half, 42 points in the paint. You had some bench scoring. John Mobley Jr. shot it well. There's a lot of things that I'm sure you liked coming out of that victory before Christmas.
Yeah, we did some really good things, and it was good to see, John get it going from 3. But I think for us, Grambling State's a good team. And I think they're going to be competing for a league championship this year and, potential NCAA tournament bid. They have great positional size and athleticism across the board, really except for the center position. The center position, they're a little undersized. But you look at their perimeter players, they're all really tall. They can make shots. So this was a game that was great for us, and really it was great for us to play well against a quality opponent. And to see, the ball go through the hoop and us execute our game plan, those were all really important things.
Yeah, when you see these mid-majors come in and they have multitude of guys, Jake, Coach Diebler, that can make plays, and you know that their non-conference record, they go against the likes of the Ohio States, and they don't necessarily care about the record. They're one big conference. They can get better going into March and maybe win their conference tournament. That's a team that you don't want to play in the CAA as a first game because they got playmakers.
They do, and they had been playing their best basketball heading into our game. And they're old. I want to say they had 9 or 10 seniors on their roster. I mean, an old team, good coach, like a lot of good stuff. And it was important for us, I think, to kind of impose our will on the game, which we were able to do. And it started with our defense, and then our offense picked up, and so. Yeah, in those games, you want to play really well and win like you are capable of, and I felt like our guys did that.
Neil brought up something about the John Mobley's Jr. shooting, and I know that's an important aspect of his game, and you and I have talked about this on the air and off the air. You've really seen a commitment for him personally to get better on the defensive end, Coach. Just talk about some of the things that you've talked about with him and how he's reacted and what he's doing better in the games.
Yeah, well, I think the biggest jump he's made defensively is guarding the basketball. He's gotten better. He's gotten better in ball screen coverage. Those things he's made significant strides in. Where I've challenged him, especially over the last few weeks, is he's got to improve in his off-ball kind of awareness. I think at times he gets caught staring at the ball a little bit and maybe loses sight of his man, or he's gotten caught, kind of gambling or being too low in his gap, which puts him in a compromised situation defensively. So those are the areas through watching film and kind of, that we're talking through in practice every day. We're talking through in games. You saw him against Grambling State happen a couple times, and you could see his frustration immediately because he knew. So he's recognizing it now, kind of in that moment. Now we just got to see it a little bit earlier.
It's interesting. The game has obviously changed over time. You got the NIL factor. There's pressure on these young people to perform. But what you just talked about, that's a normal progression of a young player. He's only a sophomore when you think about it. And these are things that you work on and you get better. But the pressure to perform so early, it's like we're expecting these young players to play like seniors. And, he's a gifted player in a lot of areas, especially shooting a three-pointer. But, the commitment to get better, that's what you like to see from young players because, it's just a matter of time for them to break through.
Yeah, no question. You want to see guys be coachable, and he is. You want to see guys want, to improve in those areas, not kind of like accept maybe flaws, and he does. He wants to improve, and I think that's what all our young guys do. And because when you lack experience, you see those type of breakdowns and moments, of your flaws coming out. So I think he's done a great job, and his work is why he's continued to play better. And I think he's now starting to really turn the corner, and we're expecting big things from him.
John Mobley Jr. had 20 points. He hit 5 3-pointers in that 89-63 victory over Grambling State, second game this season where he's hit 5 triples. You've talked about the depth, the rotation. Brandon Knoll's been in the starting lineup. You went to Marby Bynum in the North Carolina game. He went 11-6. How important was it for him to come back not even grading the caliber of the opponent and knowing how good that Grambling will be in their conference, but to come back with a 12-9 and another solid outing in the starting lineup for Amari Bynum?
Well, I think his consistency is a byproduct of how he approaches every single day. And, I've really been impressed with that, because a lot of times young players, whether it's fatigue, whether it's outside noise, it could be one or two of many factors that can distract them from approaching each and every day with the right mentality and approaching it at a high level. And that has not been the case with him. There hasn't been a single day where he hasn't walked into this building with just the intent of getting better and helping, our team win. So that's why we're seeing the consistency, and his production also is a byproduct of his activity, motor. He's got great physical tools. So, I think he's going to continue to get better.
One of the things I've seen players who come to college, Coach, one, if they're, and you can relate to this, when they are a player that was coached by their dad, so they are players coach, and then you have players who had great coaching, period, in high school, and then you have players who had parents who were great players. Just how those additional support system helps you to coach those types of players.
Well, I think, that transitioning from high school, right, to college, it's a big jump. Transitioning from low to mid-major to high major is a big jump. So how guys have been coached, I think, and who, surrounds them, where they're having conversation, where they're hearing advice from, matters, and it matters significantly in that transition to the next level. It can make it much easier if you've been coached well and things. So we evaluate, especially in the portal, and when we're projecting what freshmen will be able to do, as we're looking at their physical tools and experience and competition, we're also looking at how they've been coached to project what kind of impact they could have, how quickly they could have a big impact. Same thing with transfers. That's why we had great belief in Tilly with what he would be able to do, because he had been coached really well, and it was in a similar kind of, there were some similar themes to the systems being run. So I think that stuff, we're evaluating that as we're looking to build out our roster.
50 points in the second half of that victory over Grambling. How important was it to establish Devin Royal early? You had the points in the paint advantage, and his hybrid caliber game where he can sometimes find the three, and maybe it's fallen for him, maybe it's not, but just to build his confidence knowing full well that in the post, that's where he can make his money and really hit pay dirt.
Yeah, well, he's confident. We don't have to really do much to build it up for him. I mean, he's. I think our job is to make sure we're utilizing his versatility, right, and getting him in different spots of the floor. And I think, at times this season he's maybe lacked some versatility in the game. Some of that's on him, some of that's on us. And so what we've seen him do is really play with kind of at multiple levels of the floor offensively. We've seen him shoot threes. We've seen him get to the rim. We've seen him get to the free throw line. We've seen some kind of longer twos in the paint. I like the versatility he's showing, and I think it makes us collectively really hard to guard when you got that versatility out.
And Coach, when you talk about confidence, and here's another thing you can relate to, guys who've won at each level, and you were part of a state championship, so was Devin Royal, and you have another member on the team as well, and actually several. Talk about how that's important or plays a part when you're recruiting kids who've won at the high school level.
I think it's very important. I mean, Bruce won at the high school level. Devin won. Gabe Cupps won a lot of games at high school. Amari played at the highest level of high school ball. Colin White played in 4 state semifinal or state championship games. So I think that's really important. One, because they know how important winning is, and it's been ingrained in kind of who they are. And two, when you're in those it's more big time pressure situations, because that's the part we can't simulate in practice, right? We can simulate special situations and the game, and we work on it all the time, but your body responds differently when it's like the lights are on and you're playing in a big time moment for a championship on the line. And so we like having that, and we look at that as one of one of the tools, that we're evaluating guys with as we build out the roster.
All right, we're going to have more coming up. Our show will continue. It's presented by Roosters on the Ohio State Sports Network from Learfield.
There's one medical team in Central Ohio skilled enough to care for your favorite Ohio State team, and Buckeyes everywhere. The Ohio State University Wexner Medical Center is your choice for the most highly specialized orthopedic and sports medicine care. Our surgeons, physicians, and physical therapists have access to the most advanced treatments and innovative recovery approaches to get you back in your game. Because on or off the field, our team is your team. The choice for your orthopedic care is clear.
Hi, this is Paul Keels. This Buckeye season, don't let a broken windshield ruin your game plan. Safelite Auto Glass makes it easy to get your windshield fixed with their mobile glass shops all over Central Ohio. They can come to you anywhere, giving Buckeye fans more time for game time. OH? Man, I love that. Schedule at safelite.com. Safelite Auto Glass is a proud sponsor of Ohio State Athletics.
Safelite Repair, Safelite Replace.
Ready? It doesn't matter if you're playing hard or working hard. Your workout only works out if you recover right. Chocolate milk helps you recover for what comes next. It's delicious and contains the right mix of protein and carbs to help refuel exhausted muscles. From biking to bench presses, Milk's protein helps you build lean muscle and gain more from your workouts.
Ready? Recover. Repeat. Brought to you by the American Dairy Association Mideast, a proud sponsor of Ohio State Athletics.
Toyotathon is on. Wrap up the year with a new Toyota. Now through January 5th, get 4.75 APR financing on remaining new 25 Corollas and Corolla hybrids. Excludes GR and Corolla Cross. Or lease a gas-powered 26 Corolla LE for $199 a month for 39 months with $36.99 due at signing. With approved credit through TFS. Tax, title, and license extra. Call 1-888-36-TOYOTA for details or go to toyota.com. Toyota, let's go places.
Everybody knows that Roosters is a fun, casual joint with their award-winning waitstaff, great food, fun, and laughter. It's a quick stop on the way home to sit back and unwind. It's a front row seat to the big game. Roosters is where you, your family, and friends can order pizzas, sandwiches, salads, and more. And the home of award-winning wings that are fresh, never frozen, and so big you won't believe it. It's your family's other dinner table. Roosters, a fun, casual joint, and the official wing sponsor of Ohio State Athletics.
Forever starts with the perfect diamond. Hi, it's Alex Johnson from the Diamond Cellar, and for over 78 years, our family has helped generations of couples celebrate love with brilliance, quality, and unbeatable prices. At Diamond Cellar, bigger diamonds and better prices are our promise to you. Whether you're popping the question or upgrading your sparkle, trust the experts. Because diamonds, they're our forte. Visit us at Diamond Cellar on Sawmill Road or at Easton Town Center and learn more at diamondcellar.com.
Buckeye football lives here. The Fan. Now back to the Jake Diebler Show, presented by Roosters on the Ohio State Sports Network. Presented by the Ohio State Wexner Medical Center, the team physicians for Ohio State Athletics.
Welcome back to the Jake Diebler Show. Happy early New Year. Ohio State returns to Big Ten play, to action overall on Friday night at Rutgers at Jersey Mike's Arena. That's an 8 p.m. tip. 4 games in 9 days. We'll get into the Scarlet Knights a little bit later on, but time for today's Elk and Elk injury report. And more so, just a clean bill of health, you would hope, going into this window of time off before you have the game on Friday. How is the full group here, Jake, heading into the action this weekend?
Yeah, I think those off days were good for us. Guys could kind of recover, get their legs back under them. Typical bumps, bruises of, early season. I think our guys are in a good place. And, we need a good week of prep.
I know, Coach, you've talked about this before, bragging on the support staff. Just talk about all the folks that are involved in keeping the guys healthy.
Yeah, we have a whole performance team, Ron, and that meets weekly. That includes our trainer, strength and conditioning coach, includes our sports science department, includes our sports psych department. So we're kind of utilizing all the resources that Ohio State has to best position our guys to be successful. And there's a lot of time commitment on there and outside of the practice block to help our guys be their very best. And it takes a lot of maturity, I think, for guys to invest the time to get ready to be their best, and we got a group that really does that.
Man, I look back on some of the stuff that I ate before a game.
Ron, I joke with our guys. I said, man, if I had all this stuff, I might still be playing. we were lucky to get a foam roll back in the day, man.
You bring up an interesting point, Ron, though. Like around the holidays, just making sure how everyone's disciplined, right? And the conditioning's maybe the most important thing heading in to some of these games that you have, and not to overdo it with the eating here this time of year.
Yeah, don't eat like your coaching staff, or at least your head coach did over Christmas. But I think it's a balance, because I think it's a good opportunity for the body to really fully recover and to truly take some time off. Most of our guys either got in the gym or got a little workout in. So we actually had our first practice back yesterday, and I thought our condition was good. They got winded a little bit early on, as to be expected, but we were able to get what we needed to get done in practice, and in order to do that, we had to have a good conditioning foundation, and so I think our guys did.
Yeah, my toughest one was after my freshman year. I went back home to spend time with everybody in the family, and coming back, oh man, that was a brutal first practice. Oh man,
we've all been there for that.
I learned from that experience. It didn't happen again, but boy, I paid for that.
They can cook up in Canton, can't they?
Well, I didn't work out like I'm supposed to. So.
That report brought to you by the injury lawyers at Elk & Elk, proud sponsor of Ohio State Athletics. Call 1-800-ELK-OHIO. Let's dip into the Union Home Mortgage inbox again. So this past few Januaries have been pretty rough for Ohio State basketball. Do you talk about that with your team, or do you just let things play out and not jinx anything? That's Carl in Delaware. Every year is a new year, so there's no transitive property to say that's going to be the case again this year, but knowing full well you want to have a good first full month in the conference.
Yeah, you want to get off to a great start. And listen, this is year 2 of our program, so beyond last year, at really, kind of January, what happened in January doesn't matter.
Right.
So for us, when we're kind of looking at what's ahead, you got a Big Ten opponent on the road, and 3 of your first 4 on the road, and so that's a significant challenge, and that's fine. Like, that's life in the Big Ten. So we're not looking too far ahead. Our players are focused on the next game. I think that's what you have to do. You got to stay in the moment. You got to stay focused on, your job that day and what we're preparing for. If our guys continue to prepare like they did in the non-conference, I think we're going to be positioned well here to start or restart Big Ten play. But I think it's so important not to get too high or too low in Big Ten play, because you can gain momentum quickly and you can lose momentum quickly, and you can get it back quickly. So that's a big thing for us, is just understanding that each time we step out, it's an opportunity for us, and we need to make the most of it.
Some of the special teams that I've seen here at Ohio State, there's always been that special bond between the head coach and their point guard, and the luxury that I know you value and you love is the fact that you got a 4-year player in Bruce Thornton as your point guard.
Yep.
Just talk about his progression, Coach, as a leader and an extension of you out on the floor in practice as well.
Yeah, he's really grown in that area, Ron. When he got here as a freshman, he wasn't doing a whole lot of talking on the court. We were just trying to get him to call out defensive coverages and things like that. It wasn't even about leading, But it became clear with how he works and how he approaches each and every day that he was a leader, and early on in his career was a leader by example. And I think last year he really took a step forward as being a vocal leader, and this year he's been even better. And at times it's giving him space to be the voice, whether it's first half of a timeout or in practice, and other times it's coaching the team kind of through him and coaching him hard, because the team can see that and understand, So I think he and I have a great relationship. We kind of are developing a feel for what the team needs. And sometimes it's even been like kind of, hey, coach, I got this one, and I think that's a great dynamic, because as you know, the best teams are player-led. It's just like throughout the championship teams that I've been on, it's player-led teams are the best teams. And so we got to keep developing that. I think we've progressed in that area this year's team, and it's going to be important for us here the rest of the season.
How much influence do you think he's had, and maybe you see it in the younger guards per se, or the younger players like a Mobley Jr., like Ron was alluding to, very talented, and to see Bruce's work ethic, or Gabe Cupps coming in back home, on Amari Bynum? What has he had on the young players in terms of his influence?
Well, I think when you're building a new program, you're trying to set this standard, right? And so when you have a player who operates every single day at that standard, it kind of helps set the floor, I guess, and it helps hold guys, kind of serves as accountability for other players, because they're watching how he's operating, and it impacts them. They operate more like him because that's kind of what the standard is. So, I think it's been impactful. I think guys we have guys who are motivated, who want to be great players, and who care about winning at Ohio State. So that's a great place to start, right? But as far as the toughness and just the every play urgency we want to operate with, Bruce has helped develop that standard, and I think it has been contagious.
Yeah, I think that's the unique formula that everybody's looking for in today's environment. Yes, you can go and try to hit a home run, getting a guy in the portal, transferred, or what have you, a great freshman. But to have 2 or 3 guys that are juniors and seniors and that have set the tone of how the program could be. And I think of a couple guys, obviously your brother John, but David Lighty was an all-time winner here.
Yep.
I mean, that guy, you came and competed. He won. He made big plays. And you bring in freshmen that watch that, and you don't need a coach necessarily telling you to play hard in practice, because this kid's doing it, and he's won, and he's part of the program for 3-4 years.
Well, I think what you want to be doing this time of year, you don't want to be coaching effort, right? Like, we want to have established that. And I think we have that. I think we may be, like, you may see a point where I see a guy maybe stop playing because he gets frustrated with a mistake. Like that's not necessarily an effort thing. That's more of like, hey, you're not consumed. Your mind's not in the right place at that time. So we're coaching that stuff still. We got to get over that, right? But we're not really having to coach. Our guys play hard. And when you look back at those teams, and you mentioned like John and David Lighty, and I think of Evan Turner, and I think of
many more.
Like that stretch of guys, Aaron Kraft and Jared Salter, like. What made that group so special, they were ultra competitive. Ultra competitive. I mean, those guys, when I used to train those guys in the summer when I was working for Thad, like we would play 1-on-1, 2-on-2, 3-on-3, 5-on-5, like every day. It just was it was in their DNA, just the competitiveness. And I remember working for Thad and the amount of competition he did in practice. Like we do a lot of that. We simulate a lot of competing in practice. I think we have a really competitive group, which gets me hopeful for what the kind of player, how this team can be player-led, because there are some similarities in that regard. But that group was so competitive, worked extremely hard, and was really close.
Had a little talent, too.
Well, that's what got them, I think that's what made them. I mean, my brother's senior year, they were the best team in the country. Mm-hmm. And, David Lighty, I mean, they went to the national championship game, when his freshman year. So they had some unbelievable stretches. They had a rough year in there too, right? But they stuck together and ended up going on some special runs. But I think the competitiveness of that group and how close they were was a big part of it.
How much of an importance is it to instill that into the guys who come into the team, maybe not as familiar with Ohio State basketball as someone like a Colin White or a Cupps who grew up maybe around the program and seeing that success, and you've lived it, or at least you've had a connection to it, to keep that ecosystem and to inform them to know where this program has been and where it could still be?
I think one of the secret weapons of our program that most programs don't have is the connection our former players have to this place and how that can impact the current group. So what I try to do, I try to facilitate conversation, interaction as much as I possibly can. I want former players back as much as possible. Though that collection of groups certainly, whether it's Dr. Aaron Kraft popping in and filling in on scout team once in a while, whether it's Scooney Penn or Clark Kellogg popping by, so I always, as much as possible, I want former players around, and we celebrate the history of this program. It's in our locker room. The picture of David Lighty and I think it's David and I know John, like hugging Evan Turner after he hit the shot against the team up north in the Big Ten tournament. Mm-hmm. Like that's on our wall with family underneath it, because those guys embodied what Ohio State basketball family is all about. And so we celebrate. We have banners up in our practice gym, Final Fours, championships, all that stuff. And I think that's my role in helping, is to facilitate those conversations, interactions, and make sure our guys know, what this program has done in its history.
Yeah, that's great stuff. The Roosters Foundation helps raise over $1 million each year for local charities and organizations. And as the official wing sponsor of your Ohio State Buckeyes, the Roosters Foundation is donating $25 for every foul shot the Buckeyes make at home this season to the Down Syndrome Association of Central Ohio. We'll get into the Scarlet Knights of Rutgers when we come back. As our show presented by Roosters continues on the Ohio State Sports Network from Learfield.
Buckeye fans, choose chill. Coors Light is cold lagered, cold filtered, and cold packaged for a smoother finish. It's got that crisp, refreshing taste that makes those moments when you choose to rise above the noise and choose chill even better. Coors Light is a proud sponsor of Ohio State Athletics, so crack one open and take a sip. Coors Light, choose chill. Celebrate responsibly. 2025 Coors Brewing Company, Golden, Colorado, beer.
Hey, Ohio State fans, are you looking to score big with your home equity? Union Home Mortgage will help you unlock the value of your home and fund the promises you've made to yourself and your family. If you need to pay off debt, have home improvements, or whatever your family needs are, visit UHM.com and score financial freedom with Union Home Mortgage, the official home lending sponsor of Ohio State Athletics. Union Home Mortgage Corp. is an equal housing opportunity lender and MLS number 2229.
Hi, I'm Archie Griffin, two-time Heisman Trophy winner. The right coverage can be a game changer, both on and off the court. That's why Encova Insurance is prepared for what's next and protects what matters most to you. With independent insurance agents in your neighborhood and innovative insurance products that can be tailored to fit your unique needs, Encova Insurance is an easy win for your peace of mind. For auto, home, and business insurance, you want Encova on your team. Visit Encova.com today to find an agent near you.
AgPro has been family-owned and operated for over 64 years. We take pride in developing long-lasting relationships and offering first-class customer service. Need a new tractor, parts for your used equipment, or reliable service? AgPro has you covered. AgPro is here to serve you and your operation as your hometown dealer. Visit us today at any of our AgPro locations or go online to agproco.com to get started with your AgPro experience.
Enjoy more ways to save at Kroger, like low prices in every aisle. And when you download the Kroger app, you can clip and save more with digital coupons every week. Plus, you can earn fuel points to save up to $1 per gallon at the pump. At Kroger, you can enjoy more ways to save and more rewards every time you shop. So it's always easy to save big every day with savings and rewards. Kroger, fresh for everyone. Savings may vary by state. Fuel restrictions apply. See site for details.
When you're here, you understand what it means to be a Buckeye. And at Elk & Elk, we're proud to wear scarlet and gray every Saturday. Every client, every day, means if you're ever injured, we're proud to stand with you in court. And when you're here at the shoe, we're proud to stand with you and cheer on the Buckeyes. Whether we're here at the big game or in court, we are committed to you. Elk & Elk, proud sponsor of Ohio State Athletics.
The Fan. Ohio sports destination. Your home for Buckeye basketball. This is the Jake Diebler Show, presented by Roosters on the Ohio State Sports Network. Presented by the Ohio State Wexner Medical Center, the team physicians for Ohio State Athletics.
And welcome back on this Monday afternoon before the close of the calendar year. Hard to believe. And Ohio State is 4 games away from being at the midpoint of this 25-26 season. That midpoint game will be on the road at Washington in this stretch of 4 games in 9 days. Union Home Mortgage is the official home lending sponsor of Ohio State Athletics. Learn about their 1% down payment program at UHM.com. Equal housing lender, NMLS 2229. But, Jake, before we get to the middle, there's this resumption of play. And Rutgers, who's playing tonight against Delaware State, their final non-conference game. Scarlet Knights 6-6. Boy, they really jumped into the deep end in terms of Big Ten play in that window in December with Purdue and Michigan. One senior that really gets Obole a lot of minutes, but wide-ranging group, 6'7", 6'8", 6'9" guys, freshmen and sophomores. What have you seen from Steve Peichel's group watching the film heading into Friday?
Yeah, tough, athletic. I think they can really guard the ball, be disruptive defensively. There's certainly some, traditional Rutgers teams under his watch. You see some of those same characteristics with this group. I think they got great versatility. And listen, going up and playing there, what used to be called the Rack, and now I think Jersey Mike's.
I think they still call it the Rack, yeah.
Like, that's one of the absolute toughest places to play in the country. I mean, it is very, very, very tough to play there. So, we're preparing for that. We're preparing for a great crowd. We're preparing for a team who's going to be playing, their best heading into our game. And, we're excited. We're excited about the opportunity, to get our second Big Ten road win. It's going to be really tough. But, I think if we continue to play with the toughness and connection that I think is really important on the road, it's got the makings to be a really good game.
When you talk about Coach Peichel, he's been there a number of years. His style. Just talk about when his team is playing their best, what are the biggest things you got to be concerned about?
Well, you got to take care of the ball and you got to box out. And I think it really starts with that. They're aggressive on the glass. And then defensively, they're disruptive. They'll press some. They'll pressure. A lot of man-to-man pressure defense. And then, he had some teams there where you had this kind of guard or two that were just really dynamic scorers. Could make tough pull-ups from 3, from 2. He had Geo Baker there for a stretch. It felt like he was hitting a game winner every week. I mean, it was remarkable. And I think he's always had, and especially playing there, he's always had just a really, really tough team. And so that's kind of who he is. Got a lot of respect for him, and obviously seen his teams for a long time. And again, I think this is going to be a big challenge for us heading on the road.
Yeah, did a pretty good one at Ace Bailey, playing with the Utah Jazz right now. Let's step back into the Union Home Mortgage inbox. This has been an ongoing topic throughout the course of this season, but as you step back into Big Ten play, Jerry in Lima wants to know, aside from the obvious, thoughts on the more consistent bench production and how critical will that be to team success in Big Ten play? The bench had 13 points in the game against Grambling State.
Yeah, well, it is critical, and it needs to be better. I think both those things are true. It's important. We know it's important. We got to have depth throughout the Big Ten season. And, I've been impressed, I think, with how our bench is defended. I think that's been really good, but we got to be more aggressive offensively, certainly. And we've had some individual conversations with guys. We're working in practice, shifting our lineups in practice to get guys in situations they're going to be in the game to best help simulate what they can do. And we're working hard at it, individually, in individual workouts as well. So, I'm excited because I think for us so far, right, that's an area where we have a lot of room to grow. And, if we do, it'll be a great thing for us.
When you think about that role, I mentioned this on the last broadcast, I think, like, there's a reason why there's a sixth man of the year in the respective conferences. That's an important position, the entire bench. But having that one guy, coach, or two that comes in and you're going to get A, B, C, and D from every single game, that's got to be a tremendous advantage for any team.
Yeah, and I think that's kind of what I've talked to some guys about is like I want to be able to trust and know exactly, like, at minimum what you're going to do when you go in there. If it's make open shots, if it's defend really well, like, you don't have to, be great at everything, right? But we want a couple things where we can say, hey, we can count on you for this. And I look at a guy like Brandon, again, who scored a ton of points. He's had a ton of rebounds in his career. And he and I have talked. I think that, like, that's an area where he's a guy we should be able to lean on more. And I thought he was more aggressive against Grambling, which was good to see. And he and I have talked about that. We've tried to be very specific, without, I guess, putting him in a box and clouding his mind, but provide clarity for where he needs to be aggressive and when he needs to be aggressive. And I think he's done a better job with that. I actually thought he was more aggressive when he checked in against North Carolina. Just missed a couple wide open shots and missed a layup there that he'll make, next time. So I like where he's headed. And because I think his production throughout his career is going to be really important for us.
Is it easy to go back to that, though, after the game at Pitt and then what he did at Northwestern to show him a perfect example of how that can be in play for him?
Yeah, well, I think you want to reference, the successful moments that he's had for us. He was, even going back against Tennessee and Ohio, I think he had 18 points in both games, made some jumpers. So he can do it, right? He can do it, and I think he's just got to understand. He's got to believe how much we believe in him. I think that's part of it, right? And explaining that and helping him understand that. And then he's just got to get a little momentum. I think you just got to see the ball go through a little bit. He's getting the ball to the right spots. He's being more aggressive. He'll break through here soon. We got real confidence in him because of, how hard he's working.
29 points would be nice for him to get, but, like you said, consistency, having games where you can get X amount of rebounds, X amount of whatever plays you need defensively, and being a guy that has played a lot of college basketball, having that role where you're going to get this from Brandon Knoll.
Yeah, it's important. Again, I think what we're looking for, right, is consistency, and it's not just him, just the bench in general. Fighting for that consistency, day in, day out, because of what's ahead of us is going to be really important. And you want to leave room for a different guy to kind of step up here or there. And I think that's the exciting part is we've yet to have that, really. Brandon did it against Northwestern, certainly, but we've yet to kind of see that from some other guys.
All right, we're going to come back. We'll put a bow on the show and have some final thoughts heading into this game against Rutgers on Friday. Our show continues, presented by Roosters on the Ohio State Sports Network from Learfield.
Hi, this is Paul Keels. This Buckeye season, don't let a broken windshield ruin your game plan. Safelite Auto Glass makes it easy to get your windshield fixed with their mobile glass shops all over Central Ohio. They can come to you anywhere, giving Buckeye fans more time for game time. OH? Man, I love that. Schedule at safelite.com. Safelite Auto Glass is a proud sponsor of Ohio State Athletics.
Safelite Repair, Safelite Replace.
When it comes to your cancer diagnosis, the choice for your care is clear.
And when you choose the James at Ohio State,
you're opting for care from a highly specialized team dedicated to treating one type of cancer, yours.
A team that studies the unique makeup of your disease to develop a personalized treatment plan.
You're choosing our region's only comprehensive cancer center designated by the National Cancer Institute.
For your cancer care, the choice is clear. The James at Ohio State.
Don't miss a minute of the Ohio State football postseason presented by CareSource, Kroger, and Spectrum. Celebrate the culmination of the 2025 season with all of Buckeye Nation and follow along on the official athletic site. From the opening postseason kickoff to the final whistle in Miami, we have you covered. It's the 2025 Ohio State football postseason presented by CareSource, Kroger, and Spectrum. Visit ohiostatebuckeyes.com/postseason central 2025 now for more information. Go Bucks!
At Ohio State, we are the never afraid to innovate teams, the agile, get it done teams, the achieve more together teams, and the improve people's lives teams. Together, we are the Ohio State University.
Learn more about Ohio State at osu.edu/impact.
For over 37 years, Buckeye Nation has known Hyde Park Prime Steakhouse for serving the best steaks in the city. Our thick-cut, aged steaks are a staple in Columbus, with 3 locations in Upper Arlington, Dublin, and downtown. And just like the Buckeyes, we strive for excellence and an experience like no other. Hyde Park is proud to introduce the newly added wine room at our downtown Columbus location, where a new elegance in dining surrounds you, creating the ideal setting for any occasion or the perfect night out. Hyde Park is a proud sponsor of Ohio State Athletics. Go Bucks!
Toyotathon is on, and it's the perfect time to wrap up the year with a new Toyota, like the best-selling Toyota Camry. Now through January 5th, get 4.75 APR financing on remaining new 25 Camrys, or lease a new 26 Camry LE for $269 a month for 39 months with $36.99 due at signing. With approved credit through TFS, tax, title, and license extra. Call 1-888-36-TOYOTA for details, or go to Toyota.com. Toyota, Let's go places.
Everybody knows that Roosters is a fun, casual joint with their award-winning waitstaff, great food, fun, and laughter. It's a quick stop on the way home to sit back and unwind. It's a front row seat to the big game. Roosters is where you, your family, and friends can order pizzas, sandwiches, salads, and more. And the home of award-winning wings that are fresh, never frozen, and so big you won't believe it. It's your family's other dinner table. Roosters, a fun, casual joint, and the official wing sponsor of Ohio State Athletics.
Your home for Ohio State Athletics. The Fan. You're listening to the Jake Diebler Show, presented by Roosters on the Ohio State Sports Network. Presented by the Ohio State Wexner Medical Center, the team physicians for Ohio State Athletics.
Buckeyes are known for paying it forward. That's why Buckeyes Care strives to serve the betterment of our community by positively impacting families across Ohio. Joint partners AEP, Kroger, Donato's, the Ohio State Wexner Medical Center, the James Cancer Hospital, Huntington Bank, and WBNS-TV in Columbus in supporting this cause at ohiostatebuckeyes.com/Buckeyes Care. Final show of the calendar year, putting a bow on it. Neil Sika in for Paul Keels, along with the captain Ron Stokes and head coach Jake Diebler. Ohio State Rutgers Friday. It's at 8 p.m. tip time. Our network join time at 7:15. We've got one more question to get to, Ron. I'm going to throw you the lob out of the Union Home Mortgage inbox. Take it away.
And, I love this format with the Union Home Mortgage inbox because it shows that we got some educated fans out there with some of the quality of these questions. So, okay, this is from John and Brian. Who on your team might make a good coach one day after their playing career is over?
Yeah, that's a great question. And we actually have a handful of guys who, have expressed a desire to go into coaching when they're done playing. And, I think it starts with Bruce. I think his, coaching, you got to have like a capacity for work and time spent, right? And he certainly has that. And then you got to have an understanding of the game. And he certainly has that. Then you got to have an ability to connect with guys. Like, I think that part is so important. It's important in recruiting. It's important in player development. It's important when you're coaching and motivating. And I think he has that. So there's a lot of guys. I think we have a team full of great guys. I was told that high team GPAs are a little unpopular in college basketball right now, but we actually have a high team GPA. Had a great semester. Again, well above a 3.0 this last semester. Again, I think speaks to the character of our guys, how close they are. So, I think we have a lot of guys who hopefully someday will be a part of this program, long after. And we have Terrence Dials on our staff right now. I think having former players around this program is really important. So guys who want to go into coaching, I think we got a handful of guys who could be good at it.
I know it runs in your family, but when did you know that you wanted to continue on that path that's been in your family?
Yeah, it was in college, actually. I did not want to be a coach. Both my parents were teachers. Both my parents had coached. My mom had coached some, actually. My dad, obviously, still coaching. I just didn't – I wanted to own my own business, and I was motivated to kind of make money that way. And when I got to college, I got saved. And the most influential people in my life in that moment, I realized, were coaches. And so, to me, coaching is a calling. I believe that coaches can have great influence on young people, specifically at this age group, because that's when my life changed forever. So that's why I coach. Like that's the kind of the big why for what I do. Now, God also gave me a huge competitive spirit, and I think prepared me for this by having me around the game my whole life, every day, for most of the hours of the day. And so it was in college, after I got saved, that I realized coaching was my calling. And I'm blessed to be able to serve these guys and this program, right now.
Now, tell those guys who's to want to get in coaching, once you get bit by that, you'll do it forever.
It's so the fulfillment you get when you see even little things, Ron, like helping guys get better at shooting or helping them. You see them take coach and then go do it right. Maybe it's 2 weeks later and you share those moments with guys. Like that stuff's really special. And using basketball to help prepare, because you're going to face adversity. You got to balance a lot. Like there's a lot that goes into being a college basketball player. And we're helping prepare them to be great husbands and fathers and leaders someday. And, whatever they decide to do, but you want them to follow their passion. And so we have a staff full of guys like that. It was important when I was putting the staff together to have guys who were committed to spending the time necessary to help develop great players and help this program win, but help develop great men.
You create an incredible relationship with your coaches. I still talk to all my head coaches. God bless the ones that are still alive. In fact, I was just talking to my Little League baseball coach the other day, and because I remember the impact he had on me when I was 11 years old. So it's a special connection.
I certainly talk to my dad a lot, but Homer Drew, who was a huge influence on me and coached me in college, almost like a second father.
Mm-hmm.
Still talk to him regularly as well.
Nice piece of nostalgia there. We'll leave it with this. Thing you want to see right at the top of the Rutgers game on Friday?
I want us to come out aggressive and tough. Those two things are going to be really important for this game.
Looking forward to it. Thanks, Jake. Thanks for listening to today's show, presented by Roosters and brought to you statewide by Encova Insurance and by the American Dairy Association Mideast. Join us Friday, Ohio State at Rutgers. Ron and I will have our pregame coverage beginning at 7:15 p.m. For Cole Bartimus, Ron Stokes, and Jake Diebler, I'm Neil Seekin for Paul Keels. Thanks for listening. This is Ohio State Sports Network, presented by the Ohio State Wexner Medical Center, the team physicians for Ohio State Athletics. Happy New Year, everyone.